Hello. So this is the OSUIT Library, and today we're going to talk about choosing a research topic. Sometimes choosing a topic, especially when you have to write multiple pages over it, can be a little overwhelming. But by the end of this video, hopefully you'll have an idea of what you want to write about, or at least I can give you some guidelines to just kind of keep in mind. So maybe you don't even know where to think about choosing. You have no idea where to start. So here's a couple of suggestions to kind of think of and keep in mind. So the first is to just think about what you like. So, for example, what are your hobbies? What could you spend hours just learning about? What type of hobbies let you go down a rabbit hole? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. So for example, if you like watching TV or anything like that, you can maybe talk about the rising costs in streaming platforms like Netflix or Hulu. Or if you're into video games, maybe you can consider looking at how game designers are treated in the video game industry. So another thing that you can consider is kind of think of your major career field you're going into. So you can look for journals or websites that talk about your career field. You can look into some common or trending topics when you're going through those things. And so at the library, we actually have a lot of journals or magazines, both online and within the library in person, that you can look at. You can even check them out. But if you aren't sure what journals you need, or maybe you want a certain magazine or journal that we don't have, you are more than welcome to ask one of us, or you can use our text-to-librarian service. And then the last is just to try one of our databases. So we have some databases that actually have hot or trending topics. So for example, Points of View Reference Center, Newsbank, Procon. The Points of View Reference and Procon are nice in particular because they'll give you like the overview of the topic, they'll give you the history, they'll give you some important vocabulary, and sometimes they'll even have like pros and cons laid out for you. And then if you don't really know, you can also ask your instructor, talk to your instructor, or you can talk to one of us as well. So now you have a topic in mind. And what do we do next? So first, you're going to ask yourself just a couple of questions. The first one is, does the topic fit the guidelines of the assignment? So be sure to look at like the assignment information. Sometimes there's an assignment sheet. Some instructors, for example, will have a list of topics that they don't want you to use, or they may ask you to do a topic within your specific major or field. So just double check that information to make sure that your topic will fit in those guidelines. The second is, can I find information on this topic? My best advice for this one would be to do a basic search in our catalog or just do a basic search in one of our databases. If you can't even find sources concerning your topic, you might need to pick a different one, or you just may need to adjust it by broadening or narrowing it down. The third is, can I find the sources that I need? So for example, can I find journal articles? Can I find books, etc.? Some assignments will require a certain amount of sources per format. So they may ask for 5 journal articles, 2 books, etc., etc. So making sure that you're able to find those things to, again, fit those assignment guidelines. And then last, and this is probably the most underrated question, I would argue, is, can you realistically research and write about this topic within a time frame? How much time do you really have to dedicate to researching, understanding and comprehending, organizing, and then writing the paper versus other commitments? This is especially the case if you are taking maybe a shorter course, so like a half semester course. You may not have the same amount of time as a full semester course. Like I said, I'm not here to crush your dreams. If you think you can do it, 100% go for it. But just try and keep that bigger picture in mind. And then lastly, just as a little note, sometimes your first topic, second, third, even fourth, fifth, it's just not going to work out. Maybe you tried to search for sources and you found nothing. Maybe you found too many sources. Maybe you started and realized that you've taken on something way too complex compared to the amount of time that you have to spend. That's okay. That's normal. I cannot emphasize enough that research isn't linear and it's not sequential. It's more like a flow chart. where there's several arrows that are point to earlier parts of the process. Sometimes you'll have to go back to the beginning. Sometimes you'll have to go back to the second or third step. So it may look linear, like it may look like you follow step by step by step and you finish. Sometimes that's the case, but more often than not, you're going to probably go back and repeat certain parts of the process. So that's it on the topic of choosing your research question or topic. If you'd like, give us a follow on social media to see what we're up to. I have all of our socials listed right there. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, comment down below.